Welcome to Around the Fire, a space for conversations to nurture hearts and build lives following Jesus, thinking more deeply about big ideas and how to apply them.
Very good.
Hello.
You're very welcome. That was Sarah. I am Jonny. You are welcome to Around the Fire. I'm not sure how much of the intro I'm doing today because we have a guest with us.
We do, but you could let people know how they could get in touch. Okay, maybe we won't.
If you are here for the first time, then thank you so much. And if you've got a question or if you want to contribute something going forward or what would be useful for you, we are coming to the end of season 3.
Yeah.
Season 3.
We've been doing this for 3 years.
Aye.
I know.
So whether we do season 4 or not is to be decided. So if you'd like to contribute to season 4, how do you do that? You can email us podcast@elimlifechurch.co.uk. That'd be great. And then if you have a question or you got some feedback or some things that we can think about, then great, let us know. If you are just listening, you could be watching. And if you're watching, you can also take us with you. Unless, I've referenced this before, unless you are one of the 3 people in the world that pays for YouTube Premium, then you can lock your phone while you're watching a video.
Can you?
Yeah. I don't think it's worth it.
the wonders of technology.
Anyway,
so we're not getting sponsored by YouTube now, are we?
might be getting taken off YouTube as we speak. But thank you so much for being here. We, in seriousness, if this is your first time, if you're here because of our special guest and you are watching, hi Debs, hope you're well. And here's how this works. We want you to feel like this is... you've had the best day and you've been hanging out with good people and you are coming to the end in that little sweet spot where people just are settled in and are chatting about all of the things in life, and it just takes that turn into some spaces that gets your brain going and you're comfortable to think and share ideas. That's kind of what this is. Just hopefully a safe and welcoming space for people to have a little bit of a think about some of the things that perhaps we don't get to talk about on a Sunday, or the things that we perhaps can't always produce resource for, but it's the conversation that's happening in the gaps around all of those things. So that's what this is. We're aware it's quite niche. That's okay. We're happy in our niche.
Our little lane.
So all of that said and done and thought about, who have we got with us today?
So we're really excited. This is going to be the first of a few sort of Advent-y special ones, where we're going to be thinking about some of the themes around Advent and Christmas and what that looks like in community. And so we have the resource guru extraordinaire. We have the wonderful, the very wonderful Reverend Pastor Sarah Hingley.
Hello.
Welcome.
I was trying hard not to ad-lib in all that, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, you're the guest, so you just gotta like...
behave.
I was like, yes.
So before we get into kind of some of the deeper conversations, for people to get to know you, you're on team here, one of the pastors here. So tell us a little bit about, we're going to do like some of the fun ones first.
Come on,
so,
I'm ready.
Christmas, your favourite ever Christmas present ever, and why?
So this was really hard.
Okay.
So behind the scenes, we have the prep questions. And I was a little bit like, to nail one. Conscious of like, do you like friends and family listening as well? And I was like,
Not
who
yours,
do
man.
I choose? Who is my favourite? I think 2 stand out for me. I'm going to be that person and have 2. I remember as like, probably like a pre-teen, getting a new bike. And this massive box, like, bike-sized box, was in our dining room for about a month. And my mum had told me that it was the neighbour's grandson, who I also knew.
Amazing.
Great job, Deborah.
As gullible as I am, I genuinely believed her. And it wasn't
You're getting a real insight into Sarah Hingley now.
But it wasn't until like after, I think it was like the afternoon.
It clicked.
And then, she was like, there's one more left. Because obviously this present, and because it was like Audrey and John's grandkids.
So funny.
Like, that they were coming later in the day. It was
So
the
she
perfect
fully-
alibi.
Nice.
But yeah, so I remember that, but purely because of the lie. Obviously, I'm sure the bike was good.
Anticipation, the wonder, the expectation.
Yeah, I'm sure the bike was amazing as well. But I also remember getting a massive Lego castle. I love Lego.
Nice.
And it was like, it's just something nice to do and sit. And it was like, no, here is the picture and the piece. The sense of achievement when I'd finished it.
Fun.
So I
Because
remember
you like
getting
making
that.
and creating,
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah. And I look back, and I was probably only about like 10.
Do you
and
do
I'm
it on
like,
Christmas Day? You build it on Christmas Day?
I'm sure I did. I
You
can't
bet,
remember.
Sarah.
I'm sure I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Straight in.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're going to
on.
move on to the next question. So this is a fact about Sarah that you may or may not know.
What are you giving away?
Musicality is not necessarily your favourite thing, like keeping rhythm and time and all that. But you are a whiz with Christmas songs because of your previous life.
Yes.
So what is your favourite Christmas song and why?
So it is always It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas, the Michael Bublé version, purely because that's the first album. No shuffle. It's got to go in the order.
Wow.
It freaks me out if it's on shuffle. I'm like, oh, go off. Not because but the first play has to not be on shuffle.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm into playlists.
Okay, great.
But yeah, so no, that's always my first. And I think my favourite, I'm sticking with that.
Yeah,
Nice.
so that's the whole album, start to finish.
Yeah, but it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas because it's the readiness, it's the, for use of a, little segue, it's the Advent, isn't it? It's the preparation.
Come on.
I mean, these days, it has to go on about the end of July, beginning of August, and not prepping.
April.
Well, we're going to get to that. After the brain break, we're going to talk a little bit about how
Sat
we...
there with my
as a-
shorts on, listening to It's Beginning to Look Like Christmas.
how we as a community prepare for Advent and
Yeah.
Christmas, and your kind of significant role in shaping some of that. So we're going to kind of get to that. So it's not a surprise that, you're listening to, as you're preparing things and we're thinking about it early in the year, you're listening to that. Okay, next one. Favourite Christmas food and why? I said food because I wanted to leave it as broad as possible.
So I don't think I have a favourite one. It's just all the food. Just all the food.
Nice.
I even don't mind sprouts. Only like a token.
You like sprouts, don't you?
Just at Christmas. I don't need them the rest of the
Fair.
time.
Okay.
Exactly the same for me. But also, I love the little extra bits. Do you like the sprout with bacon?
Yep.
The red cabbage with cranberry sauce?
Yeah.
But for me, when I think about Christmas food, I always think about the Christmas cake. So I have actually realised in this preparation that I've only stirred it once and I need to stir that again. Fine.
The fruit.
Bit of context, listeners.
Let people know what you're stirring.
Yeah, bit of context.
Because we know what that is, but, the people on the
So-
internet might not.
Since I've been a small child, always made Christmas cake with my nan. Looking back, I think because she was just getting old and didn't want to stir it, it's a really
work
she
out,
stir
isn't
You
it.
soak the fruit, don't you?
Yeah, so she used to soak it in honestly, brandy, whiskey, barley wine, all the different combinations.
Wow.
But she'd stir it, she'd do it equally, she'd forget and leave it overnight and it'd be fine. But so I think there's a bit of nostalgia and tradition in that. I actually don't really like it. I'll have one.
You make it for everyone else, though,
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah, and that's it. For me, it's that community. There's people in our community who will say, I do a stuffing mix, thank you, Mary. I'll swap stuffing for a couple of Christmas cakes.
I love it.
But
So
also-
if you are part of Elim Life Church and you want to get on the
I'm
cake
happy
list,
to
then you
give and
need to get
receive.
in very quickly.
Yeah. But yeah, so for me, that was the first thing I thought of.
Yeah.
But not because I like eating it, but just because of, the nostalgia of me doing it.
Yeah.
Also being told off by you once for not making it.
Yeah.
1 year. I'm not going to make
not
that
going
mistake
today.
again.
Yeah.
It's a podcast, not therapy. Let's not do that.
But yeah, Christmas cake.
Okay, and then my final sort of fun question, I guess, is when we think about the Advent narrative,
Yes.
the nativity account
yeah.
in Scripture, have you got sort of a favourite character that you love to think about or come back to? Or has there been someone particularly that's spoken, their story has spoken to you over the years?
Yeah, I think for me, I was thinking about this. Obviously, and just really made me go back and read it as you were asking this. And I was like, I think it's always the shepherds.
Right.
I think for me, I remember having a tea towel on my head and was a shepherd. We were all a shepherd at one stage. But I think actually they were just so unlikely to be involved in the story. And also the fact that they are the first hearers and not first seers, but you know what I mean? They're the first ones. And I'm I love that it's the inclusive model.
Yeah.
And when we think about it from a school perspective, it's a great way to include all the kids as well, because everybody can be a shepherd. We don't know how many were there. We all get stuck down the We Three Kings, but so I just love that inclusivity. And then the more that I've looked at them in their place in society, as I've, been a bit more of a learner around it, I'm actually really they wouldn't have been included. So always the shepherds.
Nice.
Amazing. Great.
Good. Let's change gears a little bit. We're still Christmas themed, but let's into the world that you and I spend a lot of our time in together thinking about. So you and I are charged with encouraging our people to think about community formation, centered on Jesus and contemporary culture. What do you enjoy about community at Christmas? Like, where do those pieces, like in that Venn diagram, what's the bit that you love in the middle between those things?
Yes, I think for me, I have been a part of this community in so many different ways. For those that don't know, I've probably been here, it's probably like pushing 17, 18 years. Like I was literally in my first year at uni, but the first thing I came to here was a Christmas carol service.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's a Christmas carol service. Can't really remember it. Apologies.
Sorry team.
It must have made an impression. You've still been here 17
Thanks for all your hard work.
Yeah. But for me...
Second song rule.
But for me, you know, I wasn't attending church at the time. It was a uni invite from a friend. And it was all, it's Christmas, come and enjoy the carol show. And as we know, and I know one of the things we'll talk about, at Christmas, sometimes it's such an easy invitation because people have got that awareness of Christmas and what it actually means. And it was an easy invitation. But for me, when I came here, I just fell in love with the people and found Jesus again.
Amazing.
So I think for me, it's that, you know, what are we inviting people into with that, you know, that dual, beautiful Venn diagram, as you said, of Jesus and community, because at the time I needed both.
Really
and then over the years, I mean, I could sit here for hours of all the crazy things of being soaked, doing, you know, knocking doors and, you know, on the Santa's sleigh to, you know, really having penny drop moments, you know, like the shepherds, hearing the context of that for the first time, which would have been in this building. You know, somebody, whoever it was, would have shared that, that would have made me go back and read a bit more about it.
Great.
You know, it was from this place.
Really good.
But yeah.
Fun, thank you. We, as evangelical Pentecostals, don't have like prescribed rhythms to us, but you have within some of your upbringing and childhood, you have some
eclectic mix,
some rhythms that come from some other places. I think you've got a loyalty card from all the denominations, and so you have in your own personal practice and following of Jesus some rhythms around Advent.
Yes.
How do all of those things come together? So as you are not not professionally, not what I ask you to do, or you're part of the team here, but for you and your following of Jesus. What are the gears that you're looking to get through in Advent? Where are you looking to live those values that you are leading others in? Where are you looking to do that in your internal world?
I think for me, it always starts on probably the week before Advent, where I'm like, what is going to keep me centred? That it's looked over the years like Advent devotionals. It's something I do every single year, whether it's one I buy, one I make, or something that I've read that's like, I can't remember what verse, what it is, but you can you can read the whole Christmas story if you read this many verses a day. I've done various things of that, but for me, it's setting myself up to win is always the biggest thing. And then always the 1st of December, whether it's, you know, when all the stars align and you do it every morning, that's a win. But normally it's at some point on the 1st of December and I will literally sit with a cup of tea and take a breath. As simple as that. And it's something I have done even when I was teaching years ago, because it's so busy. There's so much going on in all the spheres of our lives, of work, of home, of church, of school, of all the things. And it's like, actually, let me just centre myself, because without Jesus, it's not there. So I'm like always on that first. I will sit and I'll be like, okay, Jesus, let me just centre with you, because I can do the Advent calendar burning. I can Advent candle burning.
I was going to say,
not do that.
No, I was going to say, because you like working through an Advent candle as well. So again, that's
and it's the quiet time
evening thing, isn't it, for you? Yeah.
I mean, some nights, let's be real, I'm burning 2 or 3 because I've forgot.
Fortnight. Blow torch in a fortnight.
And then other nights. But true though, like some nights I'm like sat and I'm like, it's just that stillness for me. In all the busy, that's the one thing that I personally will try and grab. It's the stillness between me and Jesus, you know, being centred on Jesus. And obviously it's how can I then add Be present in the culture and the places that we live, but also be present in my community and what that looks like. But it's just got to start with that. So whether it's lighting the candle and having those couple of moments breathing, whether it's sat with a devotional or sat with a cup of tea, that's how I will start these rhythms.
Fun.
Yeah. Like a lot of what you do say, thank you for that, is helping people to like recall and retell the story. How do you sort of try and approach that in a fresh way? So those are sort of like your regular rhythms that keep you connected to Jesus. But for those of us perhaps who are responsible for being in community and sharing the story, we come back to the same sort of set of scriptures every year. What does that look like for you to keep recalling and retelling the story for yourself? And then how do you help others in community to do that?
I think for me, the biggest thing that I want myself and everybody else that I'm responsible for is context. And I don't know whether it is I'm naturally a teacher, so I don't know whether it is I want people to understand the context, but also the layers that come with that. But also it's I love that it's not just these however many chapters around Holy Week, the Holy Week of the Christmas story and that story of it, but actually it's the build-up and the layers in Isaiah and all the little bits that everything points to Jesus. And it's like there's always something new, there's always something fresh to discover, and this year, I'll do about this after the brain break, but the one thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the one thing this year, Jesus, that I'm going to take. And for me, it's like, sometimes you need to step away from it in order to retell it to yourself. So sometimes, exactly like I said, it's me sat having a cup of tea with nothing. Because I'm like, all the devotionals, do all the things. But I'm like, sometimes it's just you and Jesus and a candle. Sometimes it's just you and Jesus. And it's reminding ourselves, this story, actually it's beautiful that it's familiar. Okay. It's beautiful that we know it inside out. It's beautiful that most of us could probably write it and include all the elements. And I'm like, but that doesn't mean it's got to be boring or got to be old. It's like, it's our story. So when we're looking at, I'm trying not to give away what we're doing, but when we're looking at what we're doing,
the attention and the anticipation. Good job, Sarah.
But when we're looking at what we're doing, I'm like, wow, how have I not seen this before? But yeah.
So a little follow-up question to that is, I'm just thinking, one of the questions we often ask on Around the Fire is like, how does that help us on a wet, windy, snowy Wednesday? Depending on when you're listening to this. But like, if for people, think of two kind of people now. One person who's new to faith, new to Jesus, new to community, new to the story. What practices or rhythms or wisdom have you got to help them engage with and be pointed to Jesus now? And then for those perhaps who have been around this a lot and are coming back to approaching it again, give us for both of those kinds of people who might be listening or watching.
I think for me, it's always just give it a go, because it can feel, to sit there and do something for, let's be honest, for 24 days, when we're thinking about Advent, some people are like, I'm not doing anything until the 1st of December. But for 24 days, you're like, actually, just give it a go. What would it look like to sit and just think about Jesus for 1 minute every single day? Great. But equally, for those that are, Christians longer than we've all been alive collectively, it's like saying to people, what would it look like for you to continue to do that? I love celebrating. Somebody in our community this week celebrated 51 years of marriage, and I am like, wow. And I'm like, I want to be there celebrating 51 years of being a Christian. And you're like, celebrate it. What was your first love? And go back to that. So that's what I would say. What made you first fall in love with Jesus? And also just give it a go. There's always going to be things that feel the same and are the same. It's Christmas. But actually, there's always something new to discover, and that's the beauty of the Holy Spirit. We don't do it alone.
Really good. Thanks, Sue.
Nice. We, for this year, Christmas 2025, just future-proof ourselves a little bit, we, in the layers of the the Christmas cake that we are building this year.
Nice.
We are
Yeah.
using.
Good job.
Thanks. We are using these images of Satsuma, sweet, and
Yes.
surprise. So let's just rattle through some of. So Satsuma is what we are using.
Or your terrace chocolate orange.
Or your terrace chocolate orange. Yeah, either works.
That would be your preference, right?
Yeah.
So we're using that imagery to help us think about what's familiar in Christmas
Yes.
in a good way.
Yeah.
So what's familiar that helps you follow Jesus? And I'm going to ask all of us really to kind of bypass what we know how to do professionally and
Yes.
not to
Yeah,
think like, oh, this would be helpful for somebody else. But to give a little piece of yourself away from kind of the stocking of your own experience as you get to that Satsuma and bring out something that's familiar but tells you something with warmth and positive nostalgia and a helpful, healthy and holy reminder. What's the Satsuma for you that helps you follow Jesus at this time of year?
Yeah. I think for me, it is that pure nostalgia of, you know, the bells and the smells.
Right.
So I was brought up in, you know, the Church of England, you know, went to a very small Church of England school, and it was all about the bells and the smells. And actually, but that picture of, you know, for me, for the first time, you know, learning that Jesus is my friend, I think, and then looking back at it, Christmas is when I came back to Jesus. And then now as I'm getting older, you know, it's the beauty of being in community with each other.
Does that feel like, I'm going to talk
No,
over you, sorry.
it's fine.
So does Christmas time feel like the start and the finish line for you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Christmas feels like New Year, for use of a better phrase. Christmas for me is it's my New Year. Like, I don't really like New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, but that's what that Christmas season feels like for me. It's the time where I'm looking back at the year gone by, the time when I'm looking forward, and it feels like Advent is that season.
Okay.
And it takes me back to, you know, those school days of, there were things that we did, like we went to midnight mass most years. You know, we always, you know, went to the panto every year. And it's things like that where I'm like, what was it that I loved about those? Because, you know, we always say nostalgia is such a strong drug, but you're like, actually, what was it that I loved about that? Let me take the layers off, let me peel that orange a little bit, and let me see what was the fruit in it.
And we haven't prepped you for this, so if you
That's
haven't got, if you
Come on.
haven't formulated your thoughts on this, that's fine. We can talk about something else. Two things out of that for me. Is it that formulaic? Are you looking at, okay, the first half of Advent, I'm going to use that to reflect, and maybe the last 12 months, and then maybe the previous however many years to fold in some of that reflection, and then the second half I'm going to use to set myself up for the next year? Or are you just intuiting that as it's, you know, as it comes?
Yeah.
And then the second part to that is what are the tools that are helping you? So let's lean into the metaphor.
Yeah.
Like open the Satsuma to peel
Yeah.
I'm assuming in your world it's an easy peeler, but like what's helping you? What's helping you do that?
I was just going to say this. I was
Sarah's
like,
got a fancy orange peeler.
throw me under the bus.
So that's kind of what I'm poking at. What are
Yeah.
the tools that help you? Because a lot of us, let's take something that's maybe shared, even if it's not specific. So Home Alone comes on the telly,
Yes.
and everybody goes, "Oh, I know where I was or when I was," and it makes you feel something. But that, for most, is probably where that process stops.
Yes.
What are the tools that you are
Go deeper,
using
yeah.
to like open the layers of that and let it teach you about where you have been, but also then inform you about where you're going?
Yeah. There's no method to it. I was thinking, I wonder if I should make a little bit of a method to it.
Give you ideas
Clue
now.
into
I was
next
like,
year's
does
Steve.
this need to be more of a formula as I do it? But no, I don't think it does. I think for me, it is very spontaneous. I think it goes back to just at Christmas, you never know where you're going to be or where you're going to end up.
Right.
For everybody, you know, you can have loose plans of even what you do on Christmas Day. You can have loose plans, but actually they never really do that. So for me, again, it's that making sure, and I don't know why it's become a habit, if I'm honest. It's just something I've always done this time of year. I think personally as well, there's a few like dates in the diary that we've always done as a family in getting family far and wide together, that we've always done around specific dates in December. But also the setting, I want to set myself up for a win.
Right.
And I don't make New Year's resolutions because I'm like, well, that's only going to last a week, isn't it? But actually, if I can spend a month reflecting, recalling and retelling.
Great.
And for me, it's recalling and retelling my year.
Great.
And I don't know where this comes from. I don't know whether it's, I love, one of my favourite things in the world to do when it snows properly, not the little stupid stuff we've had today, is just to literally go outdoors and look up.
Nice.
Because
Fun.
there's so many flakes that are falling, and hopefully we'll get a little bit this side of Christmas.
Please,
and
come on.
whether that's something that,
Please.
that you feel nudged to do if you listen to this. But just go and look up, because sometimes it can feel there are that many things in the world, like there are that many snowflakes, but actually just be still in it.
Great.
There's also something new and quiet about the snow. I love being the first one in the garden
Nice.
to wreck it.
Nice.
Get those footprints out there,
I love being and when the cat's been on it before, I'm like, no, I want to go first. But no, so I think for me, it's it's the spontaneous looking at it. And I think as well, it's just make time.
Nice.
Make time, because whatever season this looks like in our life, I'm sure most of us have got one where it just feels a little bit more nostalgic and looking back, and to look at that sweetness of, actually, Jesus, what have you done in my life this year? What have we done together? What have you revealed about yourself afresh this year? And I don't know why mine is Christmas and why it is specifically Advent, but it always goes back to that practice of, there are certain things in the Christmas calendar that we all do, some of them because we love doing them, some of them because we have to do them, and some of them because we get to do them.
Nice.
But it's like, there's no really other season that we do that.
Nice.
And I like to partnership those with, okay, Jesus, what have we been up to this year?
Great. Really good.
I guess that's the follow-on question, because the other thing is sweet. Like what?
Yeah.
And we're using sweets to. Everybody's got a tub of sweets in the house, haven't they? And we have various discussions about, like, they were bigger when I was younger, and they were,
Literally
all
this
of
week.
that. Like, oh, I can't believe it's a tiny box and they charge you that.
It's true.
But there's
Apparently
something
the
about.
eclairs are going.
Oh dear. There's something about like sweet, the grace, isn't it? Just talk a little bit more about how you experience grace in that.
Yeah, I think for me, it's the biggest part of my grace, and I don't know whether it is being part of a community. And obviously, like I said, I've been part of this community specifically for a number of years. But it's just being aware, and I feel like the grace that, for me, is to be aware of everybody else in the season. I'm not naturally a shepherd, but actually I feel like it's that God and Holy Spirit in this moment will let me see people differently. I always love to just check what people are up to, check what people's stories are. The storylines of, what people have done at Christmas, how we started this favourite, ABC, favourite, whatever it is. But also there's that the sweetness for me is that checking in. And I love to hear that, it's September, leading up to Christmas in 1974, we went to whatever, and I'm like, tell me more about that. Like I managed to share that, we spent one Christmas in Spain, and we were like, oh, this is weird. But actually, I love probing, because for me, I know that for us as a family, we'd just lost my sister. It was our first Christmas, not doing what we normally did. And it was the perfect thing for that year. But actually, if you just go one more layer with people, there's so much in that sweetness of that shared love with each other, that shared understanding.
Great.
And it's like, actually, is there something of people's stories that people will do? Like, oh, I did this because our Aunt Mabel used to do it,
Right. Yeah.
And that's the sweetness. I love just hearing, what does Christmas look like? But I will try and ask a specific. Like, oh, what what you're having for your dinner. What's the,
Yeah.
what you're doing as you lead up.
So that kind of takes you deeper in community.
Yeah.
So those, they can become not easy ways into conversation, but most people have got some kind of story around Christmas that's positive. And so, but to have that awareness that, hey, maybe what someone's sharing, there's another layer here. Maybe there's something else that God is doing underneath the surface of that story, that you just were willing to share that part of your story, and for you to just say, oh, I went to Spain one Christmas, people might, oh, that's funny, but there was a reason behind it, and there was a family situation around that. And so for someone then to kind of follow up with a question around that, I think there's something about being willing to share and hear story. I actually think there's something really, I don't use this word often, but like a sacred, like there's something really beautiful about the ability to share something of your story, but be really heard, like for someone to really listen. So they're not listening to just find the next response, but they're actually listening to go, where's the sweet, where's the grace, where has God been at work, how can I help encourage in that?
And that's when you know that it's the sweetness of Jesus, because it's the grace. It's sometimes what people will share in their Christmas, and sometimes it is those pictures of Christmas that have kind of been half formulated over the years, and it all culminates in this beautiful Christmas image, doesn't it? But you're like, actually, tell me about that. And I'm like, but why is that? Because it takes me 30 seconds to ask question 2. But actually in there, that for me is where the grace of God is, and where the sweetness is, and where the story of community is.
Great. We so last one, and then we're going to go to the brain break. So we've talked about Satsuma, which is kind of positive nostalgia. We've talked about the sweet, which is where the grace is for you. What's the surprise? What feels surprising to you as you head into Christmas? And maybe is there something from this year that you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, or I hadn't planned for that, or maybe we can tease a little bit the Devo before the brain break. What's been your surprise as you have been deep in that?
I think my surprise this year is, how is it December?
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I literally, I can't remember who I was talking to, somebody this week, and I was like, is it that I'm now getting older? Because forgive me,
Time's
everybody
flying.
who is older than me, but older people say, oh, they go so quick, don't they? And I'm like, is this my transition year?
I'm suddenly not young anymore.
It's over.
But so I think for me, the surprise for me it's really felt like I remember as a kid when, obviously we live close to Alton Towers here, when I think it's Rita that came, I don't know if it's even still there, and it was like 0 to whatever in whatever seconds. And I remember thinking, that's what this year feels like.
Right.
But equally, the layers of surprise this year for me, and teasing it with the devotional a little bit, is people's appetite and my appetite for Christmas. I'm like, actually, it surprised me this year how much I can't wait for Christmas.
Fun.
Whereas I think the last couple of years, they've kind of just happened, and I've kind of just got to be part of them. Whereas this year, and like I said, I feel like I've been getting ready since the summer, secretly having it on. I've already watched a few Christmas films.
What?
Downloaded a few for the plane when I went away.
Nice.
But for me, my surprise has been, and it is a reflection thing, and maybe I'm already doing this Advent reflection thing in my head, but I don't think I realised how the last couple of years I'd kind of coasted through Christmas. Not that it, was, anything negative going on, but just not as in. Do you know, like a kid who's surprised again and wants the, yes, it's Christmas. I feel like that again today.
Right.
Like the ever ready bunny, and you're just ready and there.
Fun.
But actually it's come with the, why wasn't I as involved last year? Why does it feel new and different again this year? Why am I excited again this year?
Great.
And I don't know whether that is the devotional story that we're going to go on after the brain break or what it is. But I just feel it. I feel excited again.
That's great.
And that's what surprised me. I thought I was too old to be excited about Christmas again.
Never.
I thought I'd crossed over the line when I was
Never.
like, this year has gone fast.
Good. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, we let me talk to camera one. Let me help Andy do his job. Thanks, producer
Hey.
Andy. We're going to take a brain break.
Let me sit back.
Yeah, Sarah's arm usually appears. We're going to take a brain break. Take 30 seconds. Maybe you can write a Christmas card. Maybe you can think about all the wrapping that you need to do. It's fine. You'll be okay. You can do it. I promise. Put a movie on. You'll be fine. And then Sarah's going to tell us all about our Christmas devotional this year. All right, have a break.
Hello and welcome back after your brain break. Hope that your brain is not broken,
Well
but
done.
has had a break. Thanks.
Panicked, eh?
Great, I did. Little like moment. Just so you know, behind the scenes, these lot have been really mean to me, so I'm trying my
It's
best.
true.
Anyway, Sarah, get us into this year. You have created an Advent devotional. What
Yes.
do we mean by Advent? What do we mean by devotional? What's the process? Tell us a little bit about all of it.
Okay. So Advent is the pause and the anticipation of Jesus coming.
Right.
Yeah, so devotional, if you have never come across what a devotional is, essentially they are moments to pause and actually think about Jesus and the season that we're in, think about Jesus' birth specifically because it's Christmas. So devotionals can take all shapes and sizes and forms from, books to cards to, listening ones, videos, all sorts of stuff. It's a resource. And that's it. It's a resource to help you draw near to God and for use of a coined phrase to remember the reason for the season.
Come on.
Shabba. There we go.
Someone's
She's
got
did
to put it in.
Cha-ching.
This is...
And
We're
we play
playing
bingo.
Advent bingo.
Yes, come on. That's what we need, Andy. We'll make a little Advent bingo card for the
Yeah, pop her
podcast.
out.
Around the fire bingo. Sorry.
Carry on. Anyway, so this particular one,
Yes.
where is it based in scripture? What is it about? Tell us a little bit about what you're really excited about with it as well.
Yeah, so for those of you that are watching online, I have the prototype in my hand.
We'll put links to the digital resource.
I was just literally about to do
Oh,
that.
great. Go on. Thanks.
I think normally because you guys are like, we've spoke about this on the podcast, can you make sure that's there for people?
Yeah.
So in my head, I was like, we'll make sure it's available.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, so we have created to bore people, it's DL size, which is the size of an envelope, a normal, old-fashioned letter envelope. And this year, we done a few different things the last couple of years, and then I really felt to do it a bit of a bigger one this year. Wasn't quite sure what that was going to look like, but wanted to be all in with the devotional this year. So we've done lots of resources, but I felt like the devotional was the one this year. So just having a thought and a planning. We normally do our Christmas planning July and August. So I probably start thinking about it about a month before that because I know when that date's in the diary. So that's what it looks like for me in the preparation. And this year I kind of wasn't sure what it would look like, if I'm honest. But knew that I wanted to do it. Knew I wanted it to be short in terms of what people were doing each day.
So there's a thought each day and a response each day and a reflection each day, but it's not like pages and pages and pages.
Exactly. That was the only thing I knew was that I didn't want it to be like a long form kind of text. Want it to be short, snappy, and also it's me. It's application based. Where does this find you? What does this look like in your life? That's if we're not doing that. That's what it's about. We can all read stuff, but it's like, how can this make a difference? How can you draw closer to Jesus in what you're doing? So that was that. We had our first meeting. I'd kind of got a rough idea of what I was doing. We are looking this year at the genealogy of Jesus. So I was like, oh.
When Matthew
You're
once...
welcome.
It's okay, we've had the same thought. We've gone looking at the talks we're going to prepare for December. We're like, oh, what were we doing? But go on.
And equally, it's like, you think, oh, the genealogy of Jesus. It's just, we have all skipped that bit, let's be honest.
Well, there's a lot of names that Matthew writes for us
can
that
pronounce
are
them all?
hard. Yeah, just go like quickly and confidently. And
I remember
it's
someone
fine.
saying to me, just do it, be confident, nobody will know.
gotta commit.
So that's normally what I do. And I was like, what are we drawing out of this? And then just spent time in it and was prepping, getting ready, and then realised the stories of people. Every single person mentioned in those 16 verses they've all got a story to tell. They are all included as well, by Matthew, who wants to prove that Jesus is the saviour. He's talking to this Jewish audience and he wants to prove, Jesus is who he says he is. And this is why.
Yeah.
So, and I was just a little bit like, okay, we can look at this. I can look at some people. Plus, that's really boring. And then got sat together around. We had our first little pre-meeting. Weirdly, we did a pre one and then a post one.
So for people who aren't aware, we work really collaboratively, and so we've got a big kind of set of tables that we sit around, and so we're really open to speaking into each other's ideas and helping shape things and encourage one another. And so to take your idea and run with it in that space. You might even be looking at the little, if you're watching, there's a little star on our Christmas tree. It's because we got ourselves into Christmas planning this year by, what was the ask? Make something Christmassy with what's in the room.
I asked this, what did I ask us to do? Three
Christmas
things,
tree.
I think. A Christmas tree with found objects in the office. And there were some questionable entries. Mine was the worst by a mile.
Mine was second worst.
It was terrible.
Yeah, mine was second
Mind
worst.
you, yours, for those of you that, that are in my church, yours actually is still there as well.
Survived.
And it is the worst. It's been there since the
If you
summer.
want to go round to the studio and see it, thanks very much, everyone. Anyway,
the
I feel like I've
star
taken...
survived.
But because we want to create and make together,
so
right?
we
Because
see-
part of that is that it brings awareness, but then it also helps us with the application.
Yeah, and obviously for me...
And when it's August, you need all the help you
Yeah.
can get.
I mean, we try to find the mince pies in August. You're very good at sourcing that for us.
Yeah. So
Sarah.
I bring the stats. Johnny normally brings something creative to get us going. And then normally Sarah...
I've gone to the loft to get the fairy lights and the baubles and the Christmas tree.
But actually, it's that time to be together. But also for us as a team, we're the first hearers of, we think Jesus has told us this and this is where we're going to go.
Yeah.
How does this land? And we will work that out together.
Right.
So as much as I've kind of formulated a little bit of an idea, I don't know the full idea until I leave that meeting. So we always do the pre-meeting, then the big meeting. But in that probably I think it was 2-week gap. Karen, you were on holiday. That's why we'll set the 2-week gap.
Yeah, we needed to be admin and she wasn't available to help us.
And I was just like, oh, Jesus, I need to write this. Because in my head as well, the deadline has got to be the end of September because it's got to go to design, it's got to go to print. So my deadline is a lot sooner than the 1st of December. And was sat there and I was like, what does this like with, especially as we say, centred on Jesus, contemporary culture and in, building community. And I was like, had this image of an old-fashioned paper chain. I don't actually remember ripping up wrapping paper and doing this. I think my mum would have killed me making that much mess. The wrapping paper after Christmas went in the bin.
Yeah.
And then all the other wrapping paper was for something.
Yes.
It wasn't wasted. But remember making them at school and that sort of stuff, and I've made them in different things and use them in prayer as well. But there's that picture of the link, being linked together, in community, being linked together by Jesus. One of my favourite things is going out with my Christian friends to random places and thinking, I wonder how they think we all know each other. It's one of my favourite things because we probably wouldn't mix or know people that we know through church and without Jesus. So I had this and I was like, I wonder if we can rip something off that is a prayer prompt, that is, something reflective, but also something to do, something, that is all age, that will help us draw near to God and pause. So on the front, there's like a little bit of a devotional, very short. Then on the rear, there's a bit of a... you'll see at the top, there's almost like a study question, because obviously we have our spaces and encourage people to gather together outside of Sunday, but actually something that people like that can get deeper in. But then at the bottom, it's something to do, something, an application. and tried to make that as all age friendly as we can. But actually, what would it look like, and what does this look like? And then from that penny drop moment of the paper chain, I literally sat up till 1:30 one evening, watching a Christmas film on my laptop. I'd got a Christmas film on my iPad, laptop in front of me, and just went.
Yeah, because you'd had that like creative spark moment. Yeah. I love that. And then Andy has brought his fabulous creative design skills to it. So for those who are going to get like it physically in hand, we're going to do that in community, in our gathered spaces, we've got midweek stuff happening in December and on Sundays. But just, I love that idea of the paper chain actually, because it is, I was reading the genealogy again this morning, and if Matthew was still writing it, like our names would be added to like, to the story that Jesus is our Christmas, isn't it? It's not just belonging to those who went before, it's those who've come since as well.
And to pull a couple of the people out of there, we get the inclusion of Tamar and some of the women, which was so, revolutionary in that time. But actually, they were included. They've got a story to tell. Then we've got the obvious one of David in there, and you're like, oh, actually, he was always going to be included. But actually, and then, but we are part of that. And exactly as you said, if the links will keep going, we'll be part of that. But also in the genealogy, one of the application things I get people to do is to kind of write theirs. And I've done that from two ways of, not only with your genetic family, but also your faith family. I think about some of the people that have helped me on my faith journey. They would be my links. Generationally, I remember being an 18-year-old praying with one of our older ladies in the congregation, and I did that, every week. And she would be part of my link and that sharing. And now I'm like getting older and I'm like, who am I doing that with the next generation? The layers of generation in it are amazing.
Good. Let me grab the tail of that thought. Something that you do very well is thinking about age and stage.
Yes.
Now, I know if you and I were in the office and I were to ask you that question, you go, well, because that's my job and that's what you're supposed to do. But I'm going to ask you to push beyond that initial surface scratch. And this is not a leadership podcast, praise the Lord, but like there will be people listening who are responsible for creating resource and responsible for leading other communities. Why... First of all, why does it matter? Secondly, how have you conditioned yourself? That's your default. That's not an affectation that I have to remind you of. That's just who you are and how you think. So how can people who are creating resources for other communities get themselves into that frame of mind of going, oh, it's not just for me, but there'll be people who are very unlike me who need to access Jesus through this resource as well. So why does it matter? How do people do it?
Yeah, I think it matters because... we want everybody to know the story of Jesus. As pastors, my heart is to make sure that everybody who I'm responsible for can draw closer to Jesus at this time. As a human, also, I may be the only Christian that somebody ever meets.
Right.
That petrifies me. And I do use that in public, because if I am the only one Christian that they will meet, am I showing them Jesus? Am I doing all that Jesus has asked me to do to help them know him? And with that comes the immense privilege, but also the immense pressure to do that. And I run round in circles with that, because I'm like, I love it that I do get the privilege of sometimes being that one person. I do get the privilege of writing this resource, but also... it's, oh, please don't let it be a flop this time of year. It's the fear of, is it too repetitive this year? Because it's a genealogy, it feels repetitive. But also is it accessible to everybody?
That's a really good question, actually.
And
so if people are thinking age and stage, so what we mean by age and stage is obviously biological age, but also stage of faith or stage of life or, just the different places that people might be in that. And so I think that's a really good question. If you're creating resource or preparing things for Christmas, like, is it accessible for everyone?
Yeah. And I don't know where this comes from. Like, I specifically don't know. I've got a teaching background. So accessibility and for all learners is just part of my brain and how it's wired. But also, I can link that back to my upbringing and my early childhood of, is everybody included? And I think that's where I start. So practically, for anybody that is writing or including people, I always think of, kind of 6 people, whatever the number is, but like one person who is unable to read and write, one person who is really struggling with their sight at the moment, one person who has got 6 children from various ages, one person who is on their own at Christmas, one person who has unsaved family. And, this devotional might be laying on the coffee table one day. So I try and think, where could this possibly end up? Obviously, I don't know all the answers. Who could possibly read it? And would, as they read it, what would they be able to? Would they be able to access it?
It's great.
Really good.
So that's what I always think of when I'm creating resource. I think, is there something for, our kids' church to do? Is there something that our youth can engage with? Is there something that some of our Bible scholars can get their teeth into? But then also the practical accessibility, in the contemporary culture that we live in. This is growing in being accessible and, there shouldn't be any barriers to Jesus. So it's like, how can I make sure that there are as few as possible?
Right. It's
not about getting it right and getting it perfect. It's just about being aware, I think, for me, and also trying to, I've done my best in that with the awareness I've got, but I'm always happy for people to say, oh, try that. And it's just that openness as well, as we're creating things. But I think that whether I'm creating a resource, when I'm preaching, whether I'm holding a team meeting, whether I'm, driving somebody in the car, can they get in my car? As simple as that.
Yeah. I love that. I love that idea that as you're... Because for anyone who's involved in any kind of community or church setting, we're making and creating all the time, whether that's team rotas or, a communication of some description or something for generations to encounter Jesus. And so to be imagining who might kind of connect with this, who's it for, and how can I remove as many barriers as possible to allow them to connect with Jesus in that. I love, that's a really, for people who are listening, that might be just a really helpful kind of layer of in your preparation and thinking.
Yeah, and also trying not to, we all joke about Christianese. There's some things in here, and even a couple that I hadn't spotted that, the beauty thing is that because we do it around a table, sometimes I'll put something that's like a really Christian word, and I'm like, oh, you need to explain that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'd forgotten, we're all human. But actually I'm like, if it is on a coffee table in someone's house when people, don't know Jesus yet, we're like, I'd like them to be able to understand what they're reading.
Yeah. And because these are available like digitally, they last way beyond this year, So for us as a community, this is going to really help us this year. But for others, this might be something that gets picked up in other places with other people in other moments, and you go, oh, actually, that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's really good. We're running out of time, so I'm gonna. Don't be sorry. That's why we're here to talk about these things. But I'm gonna run us through a little bit quick fire. The last couple of things that we have already asked you about. Lift out for us maybe a couple of days from the devotional that you're like, I had a good day that day. Like, that's a good one. Keep your eyes open.
Look out for day whatever.
I think for me, one of the ones I've literally got in front of me is day 18.
Okay.
Zadok the priest.
Nice.
Come on, do the tune.
We are the champions. That guy. Yeah.
Wow.
Love it. You have to do it.
You got to commit.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Orchestra.
You got to do it like you're in the pub for the football.
Priest. Obviously, Zadok is mentioned in the genealogy of Jesus. But for me, when I read Zadok, I was like, Zadok the priest. I know this, and I've had the privilege of sat in the Royal Albert Hall to an orchestra doing this. But also, I've sat and Villa made it to the Champions League one year.
See, miracles do happen,
Look at
Sarah.
that high-low culture. Yeah.
We'll take you both places.
Yeah.
Alcohol,
Look at us.
Villa ground.
Look at
We
us.
got it all covered.
But for that, and I was like, you know what? How can a name in a genealogy like Zadok, and I do know a few people that call Zadok as well, but I'm like, how can that resonate with orchestra, football, and also just discovering who Zadok is. Because I don't think I'd really paused on him.
Yeah.
Really good.
It's my favourites.
What do you, if you hadn't written it, this is an impossible question.
Come on.
But if you hadn't written it, what have you bumped into through it that you love, that's been really helpful to you? That there is sometimes the grace and mercy of God in the things that we're all responsible for creating. It becomes a part of your formation in ways that perhaps you hadn't anticipated. Is there a moment in there, is it the whole process? We have watched you really kind of enjoy the whole process this time around. So if that's the answer, that's great. But like, as somebody who is benefiting from the work that you've created, what are you really like, oh yeah, that's really good, that's really helpful, I really enjoy that about that?
I've really enjoyed the paper train element.
Okay.
I'm going to say this out loud. I am not naturally a creative.
Some
in
podcasts
the fact,
on that can help you with that if you're interested.
I know. I was like, oh, know my audience, Sarah. I know my audience. But I am not naturally an ideas creative person. I can listen to people's ideas and help them run with it in the creativity that way. But I'm not a number one creative. I'm always a number two creative is what I always think. And I'm like, a little bit like, I had that idea.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
So I love that. And
Great.
genuinely was surprised
Yeah,
that
that's
it
one of
came
the-
from me, not the table.
Fun.
And then also, I was really surprised that when I thought about it, I was like, well, this is ridiculous. How can we possibly make something that can become a paper chain? I was like, I can't. And me and Andy figured it out together.
Great.
But also, I expected it to be like, Sarah, that's a stupid idea. Not that you guys are, you
imagine.
guys are always championing us.
I would say we're pretty open to most ideas.
Once a month, we descend from the hill and decide thumbs up or thumbs down, and then we disappear again.
No, it's a very beautiful environment.
It's too late now.
Come and work with us. It's
Yeah.
great, honest.
We're a
But
great
no,
team.
But for me, because it was such a random idea,
Right.
I was like, this is too random. Do you
Yeah.
know? And also, I mean, I've not researched this, but I've never known a devotional where you cut something apart and make something
really
with
good.
it.
Yeah.
So I was like, is this just a little bit too weird? So I think, that's for me. I think that's what surprised me. That's what
Great.
is going to be my carry on.
Yeah.
And
Fun.
to be honest, I'm excited about doing it myself
Yeah.
because I've been in the writing headspace of it for obviously the last few months. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to doing it daily
Yeah.
to
Fun.
reflect
Yeah.
on it.
Fun.
Because I've written them and linked them, the structure of them is that each week we look at the little 3 chunks of it.
There's
But
that
we
Zoom and the
zoom out.
surprise and sweets, yeah.
So we zoom out, but then we zoom right into one specific sentence.
Great.
And I'm like, I don't know what's going to sit with me as I
love
do
that.
that.
Yeah.
Because I have written a lot of them. I've chunked them when I wrote them. So some of them will be good. Some of them will be not as good.
So
Podcast
honestly,
at Elim Life Church.
it is a great
Yeah.
resource.
Yeah,
I'm
it is.
excited.
It's
So I'm excited
Like,
to do it because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, what's
It's excellent.
so you're
what's
not
gonna
separate.
Stick? What's going to stick?
So it's like not like, oh, I've done it and now I'm done, but actually
No,
now
no.
I'm going to get to reapproach it and
Yeah.
I get to now recall and retell the
Yes.
story to
Yeah,
myself through something that we've created,
Yeah.
but that you've kind of spearheaded and brought together.
And it feels a lot like that this year because some years when I've done them, you've been so in it because it's been a bit longer form that
You're
you
over
could
it.
recite it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good word. I'm
Yeah.
over it. Whereas this, because it's so short form, because it's so different, I'm actually looking forward to see, on the 18th of December, what will I be doing? Where will I
it's
be?
great.
Yeah.
What will I think about Zadok the priest? Will I get YouTube up and play it? Will I open my camera and get that recording for the secret recording from the Royal Albert Hall and play it? Didn't happen.
Good. I've got one last question for you about that, and then I will hand over to Sarah
then
to
I think
bring
Sarah's
us into
gonna
land.
lead us in prayer
And
then.
you're going to
Yeah.
pray for us. If So again, a question that we like to ask ourselves as team often, if somebody has appeared out of the sky and knows nothing about anything. So with that frame of mind, if an alien has arrived, what would be your primary encouragement to them with the devotional? What's your big call to action? What do you want, if nothing else, what do you want people to do with it?
I would say if you find one of these on the coffee table, wonder what it is, I would say just cut the paper chain and
Great.
make a paper chain.
Brilliant.
And in that,
Tell
see
you the
what
story.
God draws out.
Brilliant.
Because actually for me, it's just cut the paper chain and take a moment.
Great. Brilliant.
Really good.
Thank you.
One of the things we love to do is to ask our guests to lead us in prayer. It's kind of one of the things that we love to do around the fire. So, Sarah, would you do that? And then I will say goodbye to everyone afterwards.
Yeah, of course I will. Thanks. Yeah, Lord, we just thank you for this resource of this podcast, but also this resource of what we're looking at as we draw closer to you. And Lord, as we approach Advent, as it is Advent, as we're listening to this or whatever time of year it is, Lord, we just pray that you would just draw near to us as we step with you, as each day gets us a little bit closer. Lord, may that be reflected in our lives, that we get a little bit closer to you each day. As we think about preparation, as we think about all the things, Lord, we are on this path with you. And Lord, may we, each of us, just draw one step closer to you each day. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Well, thank you so much. I feel like a radio host on this one.
Gets very radio at the end.
So, if you have enjoyed this episode, we've really enjoyed this episode, then please share it with someone, send it to someone, share it on socials, subscribe. Can you do that across all the platforms? Yes.
Of course you can.
Subscribe across all the platforms. The wonderful producer Andy will put the links to the devotional. So if you're like not part of community here and able to pick up a physical copy, then you can get a digital one and you can print that off wherever you are, or you can use that digitally. And we will see you on the next one. We're going to continue our Advent theme.
Yep.
And yeah, see you then. Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.